Welcome. We'll start in just a minute.
Good morning.
Good morning. We are live. Welcome to our Apprenticeship Week program. We're going to get started. It is being recorded so that we can promote it throughout the week and throughout the year. Thanking everybody throughout the region. I am Corinne Waldo. I'm the Senior Director of Economic Vitality at the Boulder Chamber, and I'm here to just welcome you to National Apprenticeship Week. And you know, it is all week, but here in Boulder County, we're celebrating it today with a special highlight of healthcare apprenticeships here in Boulder County. My partner in crime on this program is Chris Houston with Front Range Community College. Will you introduce yourself, Chris?
Thank you, Corinne. Yes, I'm Chris Houston. I work at Front Range Community College as the Director of Healthcare Apprenticeships. And I see lots of the individuals that I get to interact with daily on promoting this wonderful program to help meet the needs of our employers in the healthcare arena, as well as providing a continuous path from school to employment. So thank you for your time today.
Just a little bit about apprenticeships and our partnerships here in Boulder County and the region, actually, because it does expand beyond Boulder County. But we have our healthcare apprenticeships here are a learn while you earn model. So apprenticeships really are that idea that you get students or individuals into their careers early and they learn on the job. It's a work-based learning model. Work-based learning is that catchphrase we're hearing all over the place, where you learn on the job. You learn through work while also taking coursework, in this case with Front Range Community College. Our partners here in the region are Workforce Boulder County, who you'll hear from later on, the Boulder Chamber, which in this case, we serve as a sponsor to allow multiple employers to participate in individual or singular apprenticeships all at one time without individual employers signing up for the apprenticeship separately. And Front Range Community College, which serves as the training arm of the apprenticeship. There are many pathways that apprenticeships fit in. Traditionally, you would have thought of apprenticeships maybe just in the trades. Long time we've thought of apprenticeships just in trades, but we are starting to see apprenticeships in a lot of fields. I'm seeing them in banking, in tech. We'll hear a little bit about that later on. We're seeing them in manufacturing, in tree care. We're seeing them in healthcare, which we're talking about today, and anywhere that a person can learn while they earn and match that education with that work-based learning. Get that person in early so that they can learn on the job. So partnerships are key. Partnerships are a key part of what make Boulder successful, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But we want to thank everybody that is part of this partnership, and we want to thank everybody that joined us today. So what we're going to do today, and Chris mentioned a little bit, we're going to talk with some of our employers to talk about why they chose apprenticeships, why they moved into that healthcare apprenticeship in both the medical assistance and in sterile processing, two models that we have right here in Boulder County. And then we're going to talk to some apprentices. And then we're going to learn from some of our partners. At any point, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A feature and we'll ask them. But we do have questions for our speakers. Chris, do you have anything else to add before we launch right into our employer panel?
No, thank you guys for joining us.
All right, we're going to start with our employer panel, and I'm going to stop sharing because you don't want to look at a PowerPoint. You want to look at our panel. So I'm going to stop sharing.
And Corinne, I'll just introduce a couple of the employers that we have on. Audrey Martinez is the practice manager for Coal Creek Family Medicine in Louisville, Colorado. She has an apprentice currently with her and is recruiting for other apprentices in medical assisting. Bernadine works with Boulder Community Health as a talent acquisition specialist, and she has been instrumental in having Boulder Community Health utilize the apprenticeship model to meet the needs for their medical assisting pathway, and then also for sterile processing. And then William Romo Murphy is been just a champion of apprenticeships in the sterile processing area. No, that's not his Halloween costume. That's his real life work outfit. He has been instrumental in bringing he works both as on the employer side as the manager of the sterile processing department, but he also is employed with Front Range Community College as an instructor. So thank you for joining us today. Corinne, I'll let you lead the panel questions for our employer panelists. And this is very informal. I think it's hard to get people's time, but having this recorded will allow us to share this with other employers. So thank you for your time.
All right. And if you're wondering, I am in a winter coat and with the flat irons behind me, I am sitting outside in the freezing cold today to do this. So I am not in a Halloween costume either. All right, let's see. We have Bernadine, William, and Audrey. So I'll start with Bernadine. What benefits do you see as an employer in participating in an apprenticeship program? Because I worked with you from the very beginning on, just really the what are the benefits do you see? But it was a trial. I mean, it was something that you guys had to work through. What do you see as the benefits now that you've been through several cohorts?
I think there's several benefits on multiple sides. One, for the community. I think this is a resource for a lot of individuals who may not have the right financial resources to attend school, especially because the organization does provide funding for on-the-job training, as well as resources to pay for the tuition at Front Range. And then for our internal staff, I think for them, it gives opportunities for not only MAs to be able to work as a preceptor. I think that helps with retention and just really points out those who are really exceeding expectations of the organization. And it's just added experience for them to, be able to train. And then also there might be opportunities for these preceptors to work at the school as well to teach the classes. And then for the organization, I think this is an investment for the community, being able to provide training for those that need the training, and then also helps with the staffing issues that we're facing right now. During the pandemic, we've had to be really creative. We are seeing shortages at every angle, on the MA side, SPD tech side, and that's how this entire program came about, is because we didn't have the resources available. So it's really been a benefit on every side. It's been learning experience for everyone, and it's been a great investment for us.
Thanks, Bernadine. I just want to highlight a point that you made, because I ran a panel last week and it was a manufacturing apprenticeship, and they said the same thing. The opportunity to mentor and be a preceptor was a retention strategy for already existing employees, especially in a time when we had a lot of high turnover. So that opportunity to see growth in the individuals that already exist was something that was of value to them. So I wanted to highlight that point, that it was also, we're seeing that cross industry. Right. William, the same question. What are some of the benefits that you see in participating in this program in sterile processing?
Definitely. I can definitely echo what Bernadine has said. With our recruitment, this is just a great partnership to help people that are underemployed or ready to change careers. In the past few years, I've been able to work with our EBS technicians to give them a pathway to something more. Sometimes we feel that those positions, those starting positions, tend to be a dead end. We're only there until they don't need us anymore. With this pathway through Front Range, through Boulder Community Health, it really does allow us to give them that next step to a career in healthcare, either staying within sterile processing, moving into our ORs, with that ultimate goal of nurses and physicians. We're excited to be able to offer that stepping stone. Also with retention, it definitely does help as we have our preceptors step in and really start to help mold these new technicians that are coming through the door, providing their years of education and experience to elevate that education that each one of these apprentices are getting. Um, all in all, it just makes this huge effort to recruit, retain our current employees, as well as create these pathways for these new technicians. With the added benefit of receiving 18 credit hours through Front Range Community College, they can continue on their education, which we all know is beneficial in creating a career path and a lasting career that we choose. So it's been beneficial for us so far. We look at our Centura model where we have, Chris, where we're at, I think 30 or 40 apprentices that are currently within their field that have retained their positions for over the last 2 years. So our models are working, and we're excited to continually reach out and bring in new people. We have a great video on Front Range where I definitely tell people we've been waiting for you. And we're waiting for you to walk through those doors and start your new careers.
Corinne, one thing I might add, as I work with employers, one of the difficulties they have, and Bernadine can probably echo this, is they're just not getting enough applicants. And they really need to increase the pool of applicants. And that's where the apprenticeship model can really act as a conduit to employment, because I've got 80 some students that have declared sterile processing as their major at Front Range. I've got 100+ students that have declared medical assisting as their major. So one of the things at Front Range that we do is we connect our students with the employers. They set up the job postings and we connect them. UC Health just recently is starting the apprenticeship model, and they had 23 applicants in 2 days for their sterile processing tech positions. They've never had 23 applicants apply for their sterile processing tech. So having that recruitment partnership with community college, I think, is helpful for our employers.
So I want to give Audrey a chance to answer this question as well, especially since you're a family medicine. So it's a little bit, you're not part of one of those larger hospital systems that we just heard from. So Audrey, how have you benefited from participating in an apprenticeship program early on? And maybe how has this diversified your hiring practices?
Yeah, we are newer, I guess, to the apprentice program. When it came about, we were really excited just because, we do face a lot of challenges being a smaller practice. We don't have, some of the resources and whatnot that some of the bigger groups potentially have. But I agree with everybody that spoke prior to me on some of the same benefits. We, obviously have had many challenges hiring and finding, great candidates. And so this has allowed us to have that opportunity to be able to bring students in. We haven't had very many, but so far it has been very successful for us. But it does allow us to train them the way, that we want, which for family practice is huge. Because sometimes we could bring in people from, that have many years of experience, but it's not always successful. So this is a great opportunity for us. Our staff really does like it. I think that the students, coming in on apprenticeships, they are definitely more invested. They want to learn, they're putting time and money into it. So they really do want to get the most out of it, which is, beneficial for them and us. So we're just excited. We would love to have way more apprentices on board. That's, kind of, I tell Chris all the time, I'm like, we just need more. We're growing. We have 7 providers. We're adding an 8th one. So hiring right now has been our biggest challenge. But I do think that the one apprentice that we do have right now, she's great. And she's come such a long way from day one. And it has been a very great experience for us. So we're just excited to, have more apprentices, be more involved in the program, and see where it takes us.
We're hearing the buzzword apprenticeship out there. We're going to hear more of it as more grant dollars are coming down, and we're hearing more support for these types of programs, especially as we hit the recovery. I have a anecdotal story. Uh, a company put out the same job posting twice. They put out a job posting, just a regular job posting, and then they put out the same job posting and they labeled it apprentice. And they got 20 times the number of applicants by labeling it apprentice. Because people want that opportunity to learn and earn, and just that education, that opportunity to receive that certificate at the end. So I think that this model is really a valuable tool and something that a lot of industries are moving toward. But what I'm hearing from Audrey is also this need for more support in teaching the pathway, these opportunities existing, and getting more people interested in these allied health fields, so that we have a bigger pool to work with that want to go into these fields as well. We're gonna close out here in a few minutes, but I'm gonna ask our employers, what kind of support is offered to employers from your partners, from Front Range, from workforce, from you don't work with much with the chamber, but we're in the backdrop. What kind of support is offered to employers throughout the process of your apprenticeship, to help you get through this? I know a lot is provided by Front Range. Let's start with William on this one.
So being in both worlds with Front Range, we do provide that in-class and lab education, which comes with all the support that Front Range has to offer. I know Chris can definitely speak to all that's offered on the backside of that as students, including financial aid, resources through the city, the state, even the Boulder Chamber of Commerce here. But we also have this great ability to wrap around our apprentices. As employees, they have the benefit of tuition reimbursement, also our HR department, career services. We have all these things that can just really surround them and help them continue on, including working with an educated and well-trained apprentice throughout the entire process. Working side by side with their manager and other trained employees just continues to build their skill level. They are supported from every aspect. We've got Bernadine in our recruitment office that is always there for them. And our directors through Front Range, Chris, as well as Natalie, Natalie Hansen, our director for the SPD program. We're there for them at every turn, waiting for their questions, giving them answers, and providing anything that really they need and the tools to get there.
All right, Audrey, you're new to this, but what kind of support have you received throughout this process?
So we, again, being smaller, it looks a little bit different. So I work closely with Chris and, always bouncing a lot of questions off of her and, how can we help the apprentices? We do have a lot of long-term employees. So our apprentices that come in, they have the support of, someone who's been here 15 plus years that's able to show them, how you do it in real life. You could only learn so much from a classroom, which is great, but you learn most of those skills on the job. And I think that is something that maybe sets us aside from some other employers is, we of course have turnaround, everybody does, but we have a lot of very experienced MAs. And so they're able to sit down one-on-one, ask the questions. We really try to slowly build the skills. So we're not just throwing them in there day one. We're building off of the basics and working, at their own speed. And then if it requires, that they need a little bit more hand-holding or a little bit more experience in, labs or blood work, then we would reach back around to Chris and kind of get them into a lab setting so that they can get a little bit more education and then kind of come back and apply that. So we really just go at their own pace and, you know, if they pick it up in 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months, it's fine.
Audrey, would you mind explaining the wage support that your organization is receiving?
Yes, and we do also receive the wage support, which is nice. So for every apprentice, we are getting reimbursed for them up to $24,000 a year for each apprentice, which is nice. So that does allow us, again, being small, we can bring in more staff and not have, you know, a huge overhead, you know, right away. We're able to definitely take that time to invest in each of the apprentices, but then also get that reimbursement back, which is really nice, you know, for us.
So Bernadine, while you're larger, you don't get that wage support, but you're able to get some wraparound support for some of your apprentices. You've been able to get some support through the workforce system for some of your apprentices. You've been able to get support for some of their instruction. So you've been, while you don't get the wage support, you've been able to get some support in other ways, correct?
Yes, absolutely. So we do work really closely with Workforce, where they do provide some refunds available for on-the-job training. But we've also received a lot of guidance from both Boulder Chamber and Front Range with submitting our grant application to the foundation. And that was a lengthy process, but we were able to pitch it to them. And so it's going to be reviewed next month. But there's resources available at every angle. So we've started this apprenticeship 2 years ago, and you know, this was a program that our organization was never involved in. So you could imagine the fear and anxiety that came along with it, because we didn't know, you know, how is this going to turn out? Is this going to be successful? And with the support of Boulder Chamber, Front Range, Workforce, and the labor, it's just been amazing. We've had everybody be able to walk us through every single step. Anytime we had questions or anything like that, the support was available. So 2 years later, it's beyond, it's exceeded our expectations, and it's just been incredibly successful. So I think this is a great opportunity for employers. I think that they should trust the facts and the statistics that we can provide on retention and how successful the programs have been in, and know that the support is available from every angle, even on the employer side. I've helped guide other organizations to walk them through what are the steps, helping them build the program with the documenting on, you know, websites and stuff. So these are our own competitors that we are sitting and helping and collaborate. So that just speaks volumes on our ability to collaborate with our community and just to help the you know, patients and organizations that are in need.
Well, I mean, I think the whole model itself is one big collaboration. Just the fact that we're all operating under the same apprenticeship. You guys are out competing for the same talent. But in the end, it's about building the pool together and working together, because we really want to work together as a community and a healthcare community. Thank you again, Bernadine. You had a lot of hesitations in the beginning. In fact, you only took one apprentice the first cohort because there were so many hesitations.
Yes.
And
I think Bernadine has requested that I bring her 10 now. So I think she's kind of switched.
Yes.
Corinne, I did want to just add to your comment about supportive services. Part of the apprenticeship model is grant funded through a U.S. Department of Labor grant called Co-Helps. This grant not only provides some of that wage support for small employers, but it also provides wraparound services for our apprentices. What this allows them to do is to pay for transportation so we can ensure that they're getting to work on time. We pay for all of their on-the-job training requirements, things like scrubs and stethoscopes and blood pressure cuffs. And in addition, we have childcare support. So some of our apprentices are eligible for up to $1,500 a month to support their reimbursement for childcare. So I think with the workforce partners, our employer partners, and grant partners, we're able to provide that kind of continuous wraparound services to ensure that our apprentices complete their program and stay on as employers.
all right. So Audrey and William, did you have any hesitations? I mean, I know Bernadine, you've talked a little bit about yours, but did you have any hesitations, signing onto a model like this? And did you have any concerns about your return on investment? I mean, and how did you overcome those?
Um, for myself, it was a little hesitation just because working with other organizations, it was difficult to um, understand the people that we're bringing into our organization. We weren't able to interview them as well as we needed to make sure they were a cultural fit for our departments as well as for our organization. But being able to partner with Front Range since 2019 and really help, you know, create a curriculum, create a safe space for learning. Um, it's really changed the ball game out there. Being able to take applications, 20 applications for one position is huge, especially in the market now, especially post pandemic. It has changed the ball game. I'm excited to know that I can continually recruit apprentices with no issue, no hesitation. Um, and it's changing our game. We're getting really great applicants who are ready to change their career, which is starting to change the playing field for sterile processing across the board. We're raising the bar with education.
And just a note, William, I looked back at our records. We've trained 58 sterile processing technicians since 2019 as apprentices. I think from an employer perspective, the more trained healthcare professionals you get out there, whether they start with one organization and find their fit, but knowing that that's 58 people that may not have had that professional training opportunity. So, and William, you've actually trained every single one of those. So thank you to you.
Yes, thank you. It's been a great opportunity to work side by side with these individuals and see their growth. I always look back on their first day of walking in, not even knowing what sterile processing is, and showing them their first instrument and looking at 15 to 16 weeks later, and they're experts. They are ready to build on their career. It's gratifying and it's so rewarding to know that we are helping our community become better employed and help our patients throughout our communities.
Audrey, how about for you?
Yeah, so of course, we had some hesitations going into the program, of course, it being new, not knowing exactly what it was all about, what was all involved, how much time were we going to have to spend, putting in the work with each of the apprentices. All of that was very scary just because, we are small and we don't have a lot of extra staff, available to necessarily always take time out of the day, especially if they're running a provider and it's just go, go, go all day long. So I think that was our biggest fear, was how are we going to structure the training, because it's a little bit different than hiring somebody off the street who already has experience. That's a little bit of a quicker process, but somebody coming out of school is completely different. So, it took a little bit of planning. And of course, the financial piece of it too was scary because, we have a budget, we have to, stay within that. And, having extra people on staff was a little, scary as well. But the wage reimbursement helped, ease that part of it. But then, we just decided we're going to jump in and we're going to do this. And Chris has been great in helping along with all of that. But, and now it's easy, they come in and like I said, they're so eager to learn and they're ready to learn that it is just easy. And like William said, the interviewing process isn't what, you normally can do, making sure that it's going to be a fit all the way around. So that piece is scary, but, you don't know until you know. So we said, why not? And, it's been a good thing so far. So.
And Corinne, I did notice in the attendees, Jennifer Wyndham is here. She works with Centura Health as a sterile processing educator. So she works in, kind of that employer role. And then I also see our one of our apprentices, Amanda, here. So I'm not sure if Sam, you can let them have access to, oh, there we go. So Jennifer, sorry, we had you in the attendee side, but feel free if you want to comment on any of the questions Corinne has asked with our other employers.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, I would like to comment on the onboarding piece, and I really agree with what everyone has said. The interviewing piece can be scary, but for the most part, everything has gone so smoothly. I think for Centura, maybe one of our biggest struggles is making sure that we've had the resources to make sure that everyone gets the best training that they can. But it's so wonderful to have these so engaged group of individuals that are eager to learn and be present, and really just embrace a new field. And so it's very exciting. William has just been a complete champion. Always great working with him, and Chris too, just to have these resources to help kind of bridge that gap between Centura and Front Range. So thank you guys for everything that you do.
Thanks, Jennifer.
All right, thank you to our employer panel. I'm going to, give them a virtual clap. Thank you. At this time, we're going to move to our apprentice panel, and I had someone join as another Bernadine, so I kind of need that person to rename themselves. It's because they joined under Bernadine. So Bernadine, you're on here twice, but we want to thank our employer panel. You are free to go if you'd like, and so that Chris can now talk to the apprentices. So, and ask them a little bit about their experience. So big round of applause for William and for Audrey and for Jennifer. Thank you for joining us. And Bernadine 1, and we have a Bernadine 2 as well. We'll figure out who that is. But then we're joined today by Amanda, and then we have someone who has joined us under William, and we'll rename that person, and some others. So Chris, why don't you take it away? You have your apprentice panel right now.
Thank you. Is that Austin that I see? That's what I thought. So thank you. Austin is currently an apprentice with Boulder Community Health in the sterile processing area. And Amanda is an apprentice with Centura Health working in medical assisting. And if you could just unmute yourself, R. Montoya, I'm not quite sure what role you're in, but if you're one of our apprentices, let me know. All right, well, I'll start with Austin and Amanda. Again, thank you for coming today. I know you're all working and you have to pop off your work to do this, but I just wanted you, I'll start, Amanda, with you. Can you highlight what attracted you to apply for an apprenticeship position in medical assisting?
I'm a very hands-on person, so I wasn't really good with school, just going, and I just wasn't learning that way because I had gone for medical assisting in the past, and then I saw this program and thought, wow, like if I can learn on the job and hands-on, I would succeed, and I have done just that so far.
One of our best. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Austin, how about you? I know you've shared with us how you started in an apprenticeship model, but maybe you could share for the group what appealed to you about the apprenticeship model and how did you start? Oh, you got to unmute yourself. I think it's down on the left-hand side bottom. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you,
Okay,
Austin.
perfect, thanks. No, I was in EVS before this. I was there for maybe about 4 years. I used to work in the OR, so I used to clean the OR rooms, and then from there, I got to know people in the OR, the nurses, the aides, the techs, and I've met the evening lead who would come in and get the cards, and after that, I asked him, I was like, is there any positions? And he did tell me, and from there, he said a good word to William, and everybody in the OR knew how hard of a worker I was. They always told William that I would make a great team member. So from there, I was like, I've always wondered what SPD was. I always wondered, I always saw the doors opening. I'm like, what is that? So once I put my application in, from there, it was just a love interest. I really did I do love being in here. I started as an aide after that. And after that, I kind of just worked up very quickly to a tech. It was just because of the drive and I guess just the love of being in this department. I've always wanted to be in healthcare because I tried going for my nursing before the pandemic, but I ended eventually quitting that just because I had to work the extra hours. So, but yeah, it was just started to become a love interest in healthcare.
Thank you, Austin. I think
Mhm.
Austin is a good example of why apprenticeships can help upskill your current workforce, being that Austin was already a Boulder Community Health employee that they wanted to retain and to allow him the ability to get some extra training, wage increases, and be a really integral part of their OR team. So thank you.
Mhm.
Amanda, I would like for you to talk a little bit about how do you balance the work that you have to do for school and then the on-the-job learning? It's a lot to ask, and how have you balanced that?
I think with me is I would just try to work as much as I can. And then at night, I don't have a family really to go home with kids or anything. So it's kind of was easier for me. So, I mean, I just spent like my weekends a lot of the time just doing homework at night. And I also needed the money to survive. So, I mean, I just kind of tried doing the best I could.
Amanda, can you comment a little bit on the open lab that the college provides for you?
Yeah, so that's Saturday mornings. I feel like without that, I probably wouldn't be super successful in this program. I mean, any questions I had here in office and I wasn't quite sure, I took it to Saturday lab and was like, can you explain this a little more to me? Or if I wasn't comfortable with like giving shots or something, I'd be like, okay, I need more help in this area. Or like even with the online part, I'm not that great online. So just having that in person and have her going over all of it was just super fantastic. And I mean, it's just I think that was the way we all really succeeded the program, because even in those other classes we were taking, if we weren't quite sure, we needed extra help, like Jeannie, her name was our teacher, was actually really helpful with that.
Thank you, Amanda.
Mhm.
Austin, how about you? How did you balance your full-time work as well as attending school?
Well, fortunately with me, it was more of just coming to work. It's just like a normal work day. I started in the morning from 8 to 4:30. So we have in class on Sundays, so it was always on a weekend. So it really did work out. It was a Monday through Friday. I'm here doing my apprenticeship. So it was just basically just a regular work day. I mean, there was no extra thing. Fortunately, William was able to help us just to get into just being paid to be here, which I am so grateful and so happy that I'm taking this route and doing it this way because it really helps a lot.
And Austin, though, you do mention that all day on Sundays for 15 Sundays, you do give up your weekend. So
yes,
how do you find time to study and get your work and your homework done?
Well, I do it after class. I do some studying. I do some homework. So it's like after work, like after 4:30, I'll go home. I'll do some studying. So it's just balancing out, like leaving some time after work just to get some studying and some work done. I mean, like I said, luckily it's just like one day of a week we meet for class. So that's more than enough time for us to get everything done and completed. So I'm really happy for that.
Okay. Amanda, how do you feel about your employer, the fact that they've provided some tuition support for you and they've provided a preceptor? Does it make you feel kind of more committed to your employer having gone through an apprenticeship model versus just getting hired in a job?
Yeah, I feel like it made me have like that comfort of they're going to be here to help and support, and they're not just going to leave me high and dry. So, I don't know, they've been great.
Do you plan to stay in your current role and in the healthcare field?
Yes, most definitely. I've always wanted to do healthcare, but I've had like that barrier of like, I didn't know how to do it because I was a hands-on learner and I just wasn't really learning just in classes. So I saw this and I jumped at it because I was in childcare before. And I just felt stuck there because I was like, I don't know what to do. But then I saw this and I was like, wow, if they're really able to help me pay for that, and money was a problem. And I was like, I jumped on it. I mean, I did everything I could to try and get into the program, and I am here and I'm very happy. And I feel like I'm actually happy with my life and my career.
Wow, Amanda, that's great. And I think, Corinne, your comment to our employers about how when you added the word apprenticeship, that learn and earn hands-on training that increases your applicants, I think Amanda's a great example of that. If you just post a certified MA position, you wouldn't have gotten a worker like Amanda. So, so Austin, how do you feel about your work at Boulder Community Health? Does it make you want to stay? How do you feel?
No, I definitely want to stay. It's really close to home, but also it's a great environment. I've always wanted to, and I've always saw myself in health, and it's something in healthcare. And this program has given me that opportunity, just like Amanda said, to have a stable future for myself. It was something that gave me like a light at the end of the tunnel. It was something that was a career. I was like, oh wow, I'm actually doing something. Because before I wasn't really unsure. I knew I wanted to do nursing, but that can be so expensive. So becoming and being in this program has given me that opportunity to actually try to get into something and have a stable future. So I do see myself here for many years, especially at Boulder community, just because I got to know so many people being here.
That's great. Well, one of the things we've loved about our apprenticeship model is now many of our previous apprentices are mentors to our current apprentices. So it comes full circle with our employers. So, well, the last question that I have for you guys is, what's been your favorite part about the apprenticeship program? Amanda, do you want to start?
My favorite part was probably honestly being here in clinic and actually seeing like the patients and being able to learn on the job. I think that's what really made me stick to this, because I think without it, I probably wouldn't have finished or done as good as I am now. So just here in clinic and actually interacting with people got me to, yeah, I don't know. Did I answer your question?
You did. And actually, Amanda, I also want to mention that 95% of the apprentices that start in our program complete the program. And we do attribute a lot of that is to exactly what you just said, is that the things that you learn in class, they don't mean as much until you're actually able to take them to a real patient. So it sounds like for you, school wasn't your passion, but patients and healthcare was. So this gave you the opportunity for that hands-on learning that really solidified why you had to learn about, blood pressure and all of those things. So,
yeah.
What about some of the supportive services that were offered, things like your transportation scholarship and, getting scrubs and those things? Was that important for you?
Yeah, so I went through the workforce for them to pay part of the tuition, and they actually ended up finishing that out for me, and I was super grateful for that, especially now that I'm making less money than I was before coming into the program. That was kind of a hard hit for me, so the transportation scholarship was amazing to me too, because like I said, I'm not making it nearly as much as I was prior to this. So, I mean, those extra help really helped me out and is making me successful now. So
that's great. And you're looking forward to your wage increase when you pass your certification exam, right?
Yes.
Coming up soon in January.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you. Austin, what about you? What's been the favorite, most supportive part of the program for you?
I would think it's just coming to see all the experiences and that all the other students are going through. I think that was one thing, and also just kind of learning hands-on. I am a hands-on person. That's how I learn. But I think it's just mainly just the people. interacting and being in that classroom. I was joking with William earlier, it's like therapy. So it's kind of like coming in and hearing everybody's stories. But it was just kind of just being there around people.
You know, in Austin, I'll just expend on that. The cohort that we offer, Centura Health sponsors the training at their Avista location, and apprentices from all hospitals come for training at this site.
Yeah.
So there's probably 8 hospitals represented. So William and the other instructor, Kirsten, spend the first part of their coursework talking about what went well during the week at work and what do they need more support on. Kind of like Amanda, you mentioned in Open Lab, you may do that. But what's really unique is it's representing so many different hospital systems across the state.
Yeah.
So that collaboration that Corinne talked about with other employers has really been relevant, and really a big kudos to Centura Health for allowing other industry partners to train with them. Yeah. Amanda or Austin, do you have any last comments about the apprenticeship that you want to share?
No, I would just think it's just a great program. It's just an opportunity for people like me. I mean, I don't know, and just try to just get on a great career path. It's a really fun experience. It's kind of sad that it's ending soon, but I think I love the experience of being able to come through this program.
That's great, Austin. And I have a feeling you're going to be a mentor for one of our apprentices someday soon. Amanda, how about you? Any last minute comments about the program?
Sorry, one of the doctors is here. This is
Hi.
I would just say it was great. I was grateful for this program, and it helped me get into the career field that I wanted to go. And without it, I probably wouldn't be here. So.
Well, we're happy you're here, and it sounds like your provider might need you to go do some help. So Corinne, I will close out with talking with our apprentices. And again, both of you, thank you so much for your time. You're welcome to stay on. We're going to talk a little bit more, but I know you have work to do. So feel free to pop off, and thank you again for your time.
Thank you
so much. Hey, William, you want me to end it?
Corinne, I'll send it back over to you then. That sounds like a weather person newscast.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I have a question for you, Chris, before we hand it over to Workforce.
Yeah.
We've talked about sterile processing and we've talked about MAs today. What are some of the other fields that in allied health that are possible with these apprenticeships? Because you've also talked surgical tech. I mean,
Thank
there
you,
are other
Corinne.
fields too.
Yep. So we have a surgical technology apprenticeship program. That's a unique program in that our employers recruit from our current student base. That's a 2-year program. So we've been successful with 4 apprentices in that area, and we're growing a new cohort to really meet employer needs. And I think that's a real motivating factor as to which occupations we choose to apprentice is based on what our employer needs. The other occupation that we are currently apprenticing is a pharmacy technician. We are working with Centura Health, and we're working with Kaiser Permanente. So they all have pharmacy technician apprentices. Pharmacy tech, state of Colorado regulations recently changed where all techs have to be a certified licensed role. So we've been working with our employers to help them come into compliance and making sure that they can get that national certification. We're working with some long-term care facilities in Northern Colorado to offer a certified medication aid and certified nursing assistant apprenticeship. So if employers are hearing this and have other occupations in the healthcare field that they're interested in working on, feel free to reach out to me. We are looking to expand our occupations to meet our employer needs.
Great. So Nora, come on video. That's the only way we're going to see you. So Nora. Welcome, Nora. She's a business services manager at Workforce Boulder County. And as you see, there's the slide on the screen for Workforce Boulder County, the third of the trifecta and the partners. We introduced the partners earlier in the Boulder County or Boulder region that make this possible. We really see this as a partnership between business, the Front Range Community College, the Chamber, and Workforce to make this possible. And Nora's going to talk a little bit about Workforce's role in apprenticeships, healthcare apprenticeships, but also in apprenticeships in general. So Nora, take it away. I'm not going to ask you any questions because you know how to present this better than me asking you questions.
Oh, thanks, Corinne. So yeah, a workforce role in apprenticeships is pretty much A to Z. It depends on the needs of the community and the employer. If an employer is interested in exploring a training that they already have or that they want to put together to train their workforce, we can sit down with them and go over that piece, as well as guide them and connect them to any resources like at the state to supply a application for registering an apprenticeship. We can also support with really exploring the needs of a sector or a group of employers from a sector as they're looking to find a solution for a labor shortage, for example, or a training issue. Matter of fact, there's a couple of healthcare registered apprenticeships that we've had the privilege of working with. One of them is, as you are hearing about this program here, is the medical assistant program. And early on, we met with local healthcare employers as well as the Boulder Chamber and explored and really brainstormed how we could come up with a solution for the medical assistant shortage that these healthcare providers were facing. So we, came up with this idea and then really put all these pieces and resources together to create a registered apprenticeship program. And I apologize for my daughter in the background. She had a little accident with her foot yesterday, so we're about to take her to an x-ray after this. So I hope she's not too loud. So, there's another apprenticeship program as well that we supported with in-home care for elderly adults and also in the healthcare sector. And it was very similar from the initiation of exploring the need for training and curriculum in that field to all the way to registering, and then funding a portion of these apprenticeship programs is something that we have had a role in as well. So, there's really something similar that we could do with all of the different industries. For Workforce Boulder County, we tend to usually see a higher level of need in thriving sectors. And what I mean by that is sectors that are in Boulder County are usually healthcare and manufacturing, IT. And they're also sometimes the sectors that are, having some of these harder shortages, as well as retail, restaurants. So really any sector where there's a need, we're able to support the employer as well as the apprentices entering the program, supporting part of their training. So yeah, I don't know if that's helpful or if there's any other questions on that.
No, so when we start a cohort, usually the process is that the employers come on, whether it's for sterile processing or MA, the employers come on. Chris has a pool of applicants that potentially would like to apply for the available positions, whether it's at one of the employers that came on earlier or new employers that sign on. And Workforce does check the eligibility of each of those applicants to see if they're eligible for workforce support. And it really is based on the employee, whether or not where they reside. So you work with your local workforce centers, whether they're in Boulder County or Adams or Weld or Jefferson, and you guys work together to see how you can support the employee. And then that carries through to the employers, whether they're in Boulder County or not. Correct?
Absolutely, yes.
So it's amazing. I've seen how you've worked together with all the workforce centers to help support the applicants within this program that we've created right here in Boulder County. So thank you very much for Workforce. And like you said, while we're talking healthcare today, apprenticeships is that buzzword right now, and Workforce can really help. You have navigators all over the state helping businesses create apprenticeships in different industries. So thank you for doing what you do. And being there to support businesses and individuals.
Thank you for your partnership.
So to look to now next up, and if you hear, oh, wow, it's going into, I'm going to talk a little bit about really quickly why the Boulder Chamber's at the table. And we, we're here just to be the administrative arm. Typically, an apprenticeship would have been a single employer and a single trainer signed up with the Department of Labor. And the reason you sign up with the Department of Labor is to get access to those workforce dollars, to really get that and that industry certification at the end, to make it transferable, to make sure that it is a registered apprenticeship. But what we did under the healthcare sector partnership in this area was say, okay, we know that medical assistant is a common issue, a common need. And so we had multiple employers come to the table and say, let's do this as a group. Let's do this as a community. And the Boulder Chamber serves as the sponsor or the intermediary sponsor of this apprenticeship. We do the paperwork. We submitted to be the sponsor of this apprenticeship. And then that way, Boulder Community Health, Audrey's group, all of, Boulder Medical Center, all of the employers in the region just sign on to this one individual medical assistant sterile processing apprenticeship. And then they can, from day one, start receiving apprentices through the program and do not have to do the application process. Our team at the Boulder Chamber, Sam Hall is on the call. We also have some others, do check in with you to check in on hours, make sure that we have the competencies update, but we do the rapids, which is the system. We do the updates. We do the paperwork. We make sure that that part is taken care of. But that is our role in it. But what we have done is really created that community infrastructure to be able to support an individual pathway. And we're doing this in multiple industries, but in healthcare, we do it in sterile processing and MA. That's why we're at the table. And that's because of this role we played with Workforce Front Range in the industry. That's why we're here. And that's why we are a part of this in general. The industry partners came together with Workforce, and then we needed a trainer, and an obvious trainer, someone that you've heard many times already on today's call, is Front Range Community College. They had a medical assistant, a sterile processing, all these programs, and we've heard about the Co-Helps grant. And so we're going to hear one more time from Chris, and she's going to introduce her counterpart who you've seen kind of lurking in the background, Lori, who's also in a different field, but she's going to introduce Lori to you today as well. So we're going to hear from Chris one more time, and then she's going to close it out today, and we're going to share with you a video they created to close out today's program.
Thank you, Corinne. And I think I've interjected, and we've heard a lot about the role that the college can play, but our role is really to support our employer partners. Apprenticeships are employer driven. We can create our work competencies around what that employer needs are for training, as well as support them in completing their Front Range certificate and receiving their industry recognized credential. So Front Range has been able to participate in the Co-Helps grant, which provides technical and funding support from the Colorado Department of Labor through a grant that actually comes from the U.S. Department of Labor. In addition, as I introduced Lori Dilberg, Front Range Community College is expanding apprenticeship models into the IT, information technology space. So I'll let Lori talk a little bit about Front Range's role in that.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I've been lurking here during the healthcare conversation, but it really is a tremendous opportunity to be a part of this community-based project. That's really what it is. And my role is to manage and create apprenticeships in the area of technology. And technology I'm referring to would be anything in the area of help desk technician or cybersecurity. And cybersecurity, as we all know, is huge. Every organization needs some help to keep them safe technologically. The other areas would be web development. So the short the short sentence, the short idea is that employers are having an issue recruiting and finding staff in the area of technology. And they might create an apprenticeship model, just like they have done in the healthcare field. And they would come to Front Range, or they would come to Corinne, or they would come to Nora and work with them to create the description of what they want, what they need. Technology is a little bit less defined than healthcare. Every organization needs a little different. Sometimes you need a combination of different talents and skills in IT and cybersecurity and web development. And what an employer needs is something that we can help them identify and work with. And then we can help them with the related training while they're doing some on-the-job learning, and they have a mentor at the organization to help the apprentice. So we're eager to partner with businesses, with the Boulder Chamber, to create these apprenticeships and have Colorado citizens upskill and reskill or pivot in their careers in technology. It's certainly a fast-growing area. Thank you for the time to talk about it.
Thank you, Lori. Well, I appreciate your time today. And I think, I know people have events to go to, but Corinne will make this materials available. And we just wanted to end with a short video that was completed with our employers about the medical assisting apprenticeship. So thank you for your time today. And Corinne, thank you for hosting.
Medical office. It takes a special kind of person, and you have to have a lot of drive and motivation. We utilize medical assistants in multiple positions.
There is a shortage right now of medical assisting staff.
I have right now 2 people on my MA pool, but I probably have 4 or 5 requests a day. Part of my job as a senior talent acquisition specialist is finding top performing talent in the healthcare industry, and working with Front Range Community College has helped me do that.
We started with this apprentice program this year. I thought that was an astounding, wonderful way to garner medical assistants into the job market.
Our partnership with Front Range has been one of our best decisions. The apprenticeship has been a huge success. We get to handpick those individuals that are driven and motivated and excited about getting into the community and really making a difference in the medical world.
We are able to interview a lot of the applicants just to get an idea kind of up front, like if they're going to fit in with our culture.
One of the advantages of hiring apprentices is they don't have predisposed notions of how a medical assisting job should be. So it's very customizable to the needs of your practice.
It gives us staff that we can kind of train the way we work.
They're trained the way we want them. They've really fit in with our staff. They know how our offices work.
Every organization has different skills that they need, right? For whatever the specialties are. It allows us to shape these individuals to the specifics of our needs.
I feel like both the apprentice and the practice are supported by Front Range Community College.
Front Range gave us a ton of support, and I don't think I could have done it without that.
Anything that I was uncomfortable doing here, I felt like I didn't get enough hands-on experience. I was able to go on Saturdays, and the program director would teach us these things in class, and I would be able to practice on other students. It was definitely a learning experience, and I built that confidence as I went on.
Front Range has provided me with lots of grants that have covered my tuition, my books, supplies in the class, and also childcare, which is a really big expense, especially for parents re-entering the workforce.
It would be economically a hardship for a small independent practice like ourselves. But we were offered wage support, not only for us, but also for the student.
It financially benefited us because we were able to get some of their salaries reimbursed to us.
The wage support does not pay for 100% of that apprentice, but in return, they see the benefits also because they're get benefits of getting scrubs or a stethoscope or whatever that they need through the wage support.
The level of education that's received at Front Range is the best that I've seen in our area for medical assisting.
I feel super motivated to go to work every single day because I know how rewarding being a medical assistant is. On a busy day, I might do more than 100 different jobs here.
It's almost like they're not a student after a couple weeks. They're part of the team and we forget they're students almost.
I'm able to help all of my colleagues out if they need help with vaccines or a blood draw or anything like that. I'm able to step in and help them out.
After about 3 months, you can definitely see your return on investment. And that's what I see the apprenticeship program to be.
Honestly, there's not a lot of MA apprenticeship programs available throughout the state. So this is a great investment. And we've seen the return and it has yielded very positive results.
Thanks to the apprenticeship program, I do feel a loyalty with Associates in Family Medicine.
Most of them will go on to do maybe some other education, but they continue with AFM and they're loyal to our company.
So I do want to continue working at Associates in Family Medicine after I get my medical assisting certificate.
I do have a sense of loyalty here, like I would stay here and work here. I'm very thankful to Front Range for allowing me the opportunity to go to school and get my MA while still working and getting the on-the-job training.
I definitely think that this is a win-win program for everyone.
Thank you, everybody.